I first started thinking about this gospel so many weeks ago. I kept thinking about and trying to memorize about this whole big, long gospel. And I saw and thought, okay, Peter's in our first reading. Peter got everybody together in the house of Cornelius and started talking what they needed to do. Peter was our first pope of the Holy Catholic Church. We always think about St. Peter, but St. Peter really was the first pope of our church. And then something else happened. We started Holy Week. Thursday night came about. After Mass, we're going and taking Jesus to the Family Life Center. People did adoration, praise, and worship, and prayer. And we're going, okay, this is nice. And it was getting late, and it turned out to be my turn to lock up. I'm going, okay, this is just marvelous. I'm here with a handful of people. I said, I got a couple hours to kill. I'll just sit here for a while, not praying, just sitting, not praying at all. And all of a sudden, I'm in the middle of not real prayer, but just sitting there looking at Jesus. And all of a sudden, this huge wave of the Holy Spirit came upon me. It was like this bucket challenge that just blasted my head. I couldn't breathe. I was crying like a little baby. I couldn't see from here to the wall. It was like something I had never experienced before. The Holy Spirit tells me I'm to talk about the Holy Spirit and the power of the Holy Spirit at Holy Redeemer. And I'm going, wow, I can't breathe. Okay, Lord, I will do it. We'll change everything up. So I started thinking about it, what I needed to do, what to talk about. And so I said, Spirit, come to me. Let me understand what you want. See, our ministry team works about 6 weeks out from all the masses. They get together every Friday for a long meeting, and they plan what we're going to do, what questions we're going to ask ourselves. So we're planning these way ahead. So for Thursday, for me to change things up, is pretty drastic. But you have to listen to the Holy Spirit. So this week leading in from Lent to Holy Week has been tough in some ways. In Louisiana, there was 3 churches that were burned. But by the power of the Holy Spirit, those pastors said first thing without knowing whether they were getting money to rebuild, we're going to rebuild. The Spirit was with them. And thank God that they finally got the money that they can rebuild their churches. And then this week, the beginning of Holy Week, we see the Mother Church of France, Notre Dame, on total fire. And we've seen it on television, on Facebook, and all these different media aspects. And I'm totally just almost in tears again, watching these images of France. And I can't imagine what the people of France felt. I've never been to France, probably never be to France. But I'm sitting there looking at these images of this burning building. The Mother Church of France is on fire. What's going to happen? Then all of a sudden, I see spontaneous prayer in the streets of Paris, kneeling down in the middle of the street, praying and singing the Ave Maria, praying that the fire is being put out. And we keep seeing the images of the massive amounts of water being sprayed onto the walls of Notre Dame. But what they didn't show us on the television was the brave men and women, firefighters, who were inside of Notre Dame. They went inside Notre Dame when it's blazing on fire, and you can't see nothing in front of your face when you're inside of a fire. So they're working in the hottest of weather, and they're taking their hoses going, don't let my mother church burn. amazing how the Holy Spirit works. It wasn't just because they are courageous, but they knew they had a more determined moment at that time. The Spirit was pushing them farther and farther into that church, and knowing they were going to be all right. We had one firefighter get hurt, but nobody else was killed. And in 2 days, the world donates $1 billion to rebuild the Mother Church of Notre Dame. Without even the struggle. They're going to rebuild. It's absolutely amazing. The power of the Holy Spirit is unshakable. All we have to do is listen. So I started listening again. And I started thinking about our Holy Week and our leading into Lent, our coming this week into Holy Week. And I started thinking about what we did here for Lent. The ministry team, Father Steve, had a Lenten series talks every Thursday night. We started with a little bit of soup. We went into praise and worship for a half hour. We went into 30 minutes of a talk by Father Steve. Nobody wanted to leave in that 30 minutes. They wanted to keep hearing our pastor talk about the Holy Spirit because the Holy Spirit was moving the people of this parish. So we finally had to cut it off, went back into adoration and praise and worship. And the power of the Holy Spirit grew here at Holy Redeemer. Holy Thursday, a beautiful celebration, a rededication of our priest who is bishop, the humble washing of the feet of the 12 people sitting up here in front of us, that the clergy was just so fortunate to wash these people's feet. Each one of us got a chance to take time with 4 different people and wash the feet of the humble people in front of me, humbling me at the same time. But it's not just these people here. It's a humbling of the whole parish of Holy Redeemer. And it went out. And it started the process of our Holy Week. That humbleness that we know what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to be by the power of the Holy Spirit. And then, of all Good Fridays that I have ever been to, I see this cross being brought in. It's got a sliver of the real cross from the Holy Land, of the real cross that Jesus hung on. It's a little tiny bit, but it was put in this cross with the wood from Bethlehem. Our parish was unbelievably blessed to have that here. Deacon and I walk down the aisle. We come down the aisle and we go flat on the floor, prostrating ourselves in front of this beautiful cross. Our parish was full. The church pews were full. And every single one of us had an opportunity to do veneration in front of that cross. We all came forward one at a time to venerate. It took over an hour for all of us to venerate that cross, and not one impatient, bad word, oh, I got to get out of here. Everybody waited their turn and wanted to venerate the cross of Jesus. The true cross of Jesus, it was here. We don't get that opportunity much. But it was by the power of the Holy Spirit that it happened here this weekend. And it continues to grow. Saturday, most spectacular day I can remember. We started at 8 o'clock in the morning for practice. Practice makes perfect. So we have our RCIA people here. getting ready for baptism, confirmations, and all that. And some kids here that were going to be baptized. 8 o'clock in the morning. We know we're going to be here till midnight. Our whole team was here, preparing, getting ready, believing and understanding what the Holy Spirit wanted of us. So we went through our whole rehearsals, went out and had a lunch about 2 o'clock, tried to catch a half-hour nap, and came back for the most amazing experience of my life. We had baptisms. We had the light of Christ. This light of Christ we bring with the Easter candle. The whole church is dark, black. Sun is down, not a single light on in this church. Black. I can't see from here to this first pew. You can't see nothing. We bring the light of Christ from the Easter candle that was blessed by the fire with Father, and I walk down the aisle going, the light of Christ. And we start passing out from the candles, from this candle to other candles of everybody sitting in the pews. Everybody had a candle. It was magnificent. Father turns to everyone and says, hold your candle up. The whole church was illuminated with the candle. That's what it was. It was marvelous. The Spirit is alive and well at Holy Redeemer, and we're growing. During the next part of our service and Mass, we baptize some kids. We have a big tub where we baptize with people with immersions. Deacon Ken, it was his term this year. Thank you, Deacon. They only put 4 or 5 bags of ice in that tub for him. And so it was a little cold. But what I remember most of that immersion was one young girl who had been working and praying and was going to be baptized. And the whole time she's excited. From the beginning she walks in the door, she couldn't stop. She couldn't barely breathe. She's bouncing. She's sitting over right there. And she's the whole time. And I'm going, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? So Deacon takes her, baptizes her in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. She pops out of that water. I swear I saw angels. It was unbelievable. She bounces out of the tub and the water, and she's crying. She forgot her glasses. She can't even see to get to the bathroom to change, but she is on fire with the Holy Spirit. I'm going, wow, this is fantastic. After we come back and sit down, and she comes back here, her feet never touched the ground. The rest of this whole service, the whole time, she's all over the place. She was just on fire. It was so great to see. We got to baptize other ones. Father Steve baptized. I baptized my godchildren. I was fortunate to be able to baptize. I was a godfather and be able to baptize at the same time. It was a marvelous experience. One of the young boys who was baptized, 6th grade, I mean, he's typical 6th grade. I don't want to be here. Oh, Mom's making me be here. Just making me be here. And, he's a good boy. Real good boy. But, it's late. I mean, goodness gracious, it's 10 o'clock. And so we baptize him. Deacon baptizes him. He comes out of there, and it's like, this boy looks different. He wasn't doing the bouncing around. He looks different. And later on, he tells Rafi. He said, Rafi, he says, I feel different. He said, it's like being a used car, and now I'm a new car. Perfect analogy. I go, wow, profound, very profound. 6th grader. And then my two godchildren, little, I don't know, 6 or 8, 10, maybe something like that. I can't even remember. But the one little one, I mean, she was falling asleep while she was getting her hair done during the daytime. She was just exhausted because we've been up since crack of dawn. She was just a gorgeous little girl, and she just was like, oh, same thing. Wouldn't talk much. We get over to the afterglow party. She would not shut up. It's something about this Spirit. It is something we need to constantly reminding ourselves and letting ourselves get it. It moves us in such many different ways. Mary Magdalene was the first at the tomb. There she was. She's the first. Why was the woman the only one who went to the tomb? I can tell you why. Because it's the women of our church who let it survive. If it wasn't for the women of our church would never survive. And we don't rely on them enough. But she's there at the tomb, looking in. Well, what's she do? She's got to go find the first pope. The first pope comes in, says, okay, we see Jesus is gone. Well, we know he's not stolen because they didn't steal these garments. These garments were expensive. That's what they would do back in the day. They would go break into a grave, steal these garments because they were made of silk and things, and then they would go sell these real nice garments. But they were still there. And then Jesus is resurrected. And so they're kind of going, what are we going to do now? We are going to be in trouble because we don't know where Jesus is. Mary Magdalene was in tears. She was missing this divine presence of Jesus. She just didn't know how to even breathe anymore because she missed her Lord that she loved so much. That's the women of our church. So Jesus comes, starts talking to people. He sees 500 people in this time that he was after resurrection, before he was ascended into heaven. 500 people. He ate with. He drank with. It wasn't the Spirit of Jesus. It was Jesus himself. Because spirits don't eat and drink. Only people do. It was the Spirit. It wasn't the Spirit of Jesus. It was truly Jesus. And they started to get it. And those 500 started sending it around. And that's where we are today. Continuing our true presence in the earth of Jesus Christ. And always remembering who makes that true presence one of the most important things in our life, in our church, saves our church, grows our church, is truly the women of our church.